Alright, what's up everybody? Kicking off the 4runner TLC series. So before we get into all the hardcore detailing stuff, first we gotta get some grunt work out of the way. And the very first thing we're gonna be doing is getting this thing oil sprayed underneath. And if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, for you southerners down there, up here in Canada, they put road salt on our streets in the wintertime. And road salt is what causes rust. So we take our vehicles to places to basically get the undercarriage sprayed with oil, and then that kind of protects the metal down there. It keeps things from sticking to it and eating away at it. But first, before we can do that, I'm on my way to the local car wash just to rinse all the mud and crap off of this thing. Mainly because I don't feel like making a mess at home. Did I just say that? But basically I need to rinse all that junk off first because I want the oil to stick to the actual metal underneath everything and not the mud and grime that's on this. And then once we've got it somewhat cleaned up under there, I'm not worried about doing any real cleaning, I'm just trying to get the bulk of the stuff off. But once we got all that cleaned up under there, I'm going to be taking this thing in to get oil sprayed, and that's when the detailing is going to start from that point. Sweet, no lineup. Yes! Alright, I'm going to leave you guys in here because I don't want you to get all cold and wet. And we'll meet back up in a little bit. Alright, well it's not exactly squeaky clean, but now at least we can get it oil sprayed and we got something to stick to. So next up is we're going to take it to my buddy's place that has a specific oil spraying place in town. He's going to throw it up on the hoist and spray some oil under there, and then it'll be ready for the winter time. And then from that point, we'll be able to get started cleaning this thing back up. Now, I understand if this isn't something that you're familiar with, you probably have a few questions about what's going on here, so I'm going to try and explain some of the process. This is just kind of like second nature for us Canadians, but I've had a few people ask questions about what this whole oil spraying thing is all about. As you can see, they've got a pretty smooth operation going here. So when you first pull up, and if you haven't brought a vehicle to them before, they actually will drill holes into your rockers and your door jambs, which I guess kind of freaks some people out, but it's voluntary. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can just tell them leave them alone. But the idea is they drill holes so that they can actually shove their gun into the hole and shoot oil inside of your rockers and everything, which definitely helps as far as rust prevention. And then they just seal it up with some rubber caps and you go about your life. It's not really noticeable in there, it doesn't cause any trouble, but it's a good way of being able to protect them from the inside out, which is, as we all know, that's how rust likes to operate. So they do that, they spray in your door jambs, they give your door hinges a nice courtesy spray too, just to grease them up for you, which is cool. And then you pop the hatch, so they'll do all in there. They do a good chunk of your engine bay as well. They get right down into where rust likes to hide in your strut towers and stuff like that. And then they pull you forward up onto the hoist, and they actually hoist you up with you in the vehicle, which is always fun, if you like roller coasters. Or you don't. Whatever. And then the team of dudes just goes at it. They've got these kind of high-pressured guns that spray this oil all over everything in your undercarriage. And they, as you can see on the 4runner, they're really hosing this thing down. They're definitely familiar with Toyota trucks at this place. They know what they're doing, so this one always gets a little bit of extra attention, I think, just because they know the deal. These things rust if you look at them too hard, so they spray everything down. Obviously they try to avoid like your brakes and stuff like that, and they don't purposely try to hit your exhaust, but there's no way around it. I mean, you're going to get oil on your exhaust and it's going to be smoky on the way home. We'll get to that later. I'll show you I'll show you that part. That's always fun. So they just go through and they hose that sucker down with oil, man. They get it in every little nook and cranny, the frame rails, the suspension, everything. Everything gets it. And I don't know if you can really notice in the video or not, I actually dropped my spare tire down before I brought it to them just because I don't care about getting my wheel oily, but the idea is that the spare tire blocks part of the body underneath, and I would way rather have that oil sprayed that entire area than have kind of a round cutout where the tire starts and stops. So I would just drop the tires real quick, leave it at home, go get it sprayed, and then pop it back up in there. And again, it's another great thing is it greases up your spare tire chain and that whole mechanism and everything. So there's a few bonuses to getting it oil sprayed too, aside from just the rust prevention. So once they've given it a thorough going over, they drop you back down. You drive right through the building out the other side, and there's a dude waiting back there. He's got a squeegee. He does his best to try and get the oil off your windows and everything, because as you can see, there's a lot of overspray inside the building. So they at least clean your windows up just so it's safe for you to drive home and everything. But as you can see, this is a pretty messy process, and it's kind of a necessary evil if you want to fight the war on rust. And so we'll get into the whole cleanup situation in a future video. Now on the drive home, I'm not sure how much is actually going to show up on camera here, but it's always kind of a joke to see this because, like I said, there's no way to avoid getting oil on your exhaust, or like in the case of this thing, it's got headers on it, and so that oil's got to burn off right away. And as you pull it onto the street to drive home, it's not uncommon to have a nice big blue cloud behind you, and the looks that you get from other drivers is just hilarious. People think that your engine's about to blow up any second. Some people even have people pointing at them and trying to get their attention, like warning them that their car's on fire or something. So that's always entertaining on the way home. And this thing, I can tell they definitely put some good oil on it this year, because this thing was smoking almost the whole way home. And actually, I think the next 1 or 2 times that I drove it, I kind of looked out my rearview mirror and I still saw it smoking. So I definitely got my money's worth on this one. Alright, so now that the oil's had some time to set up and kind of get gummy, they don't just use like used motor oil or anything like that they used to do it back in the day. These guys actually are constantly trying to improve and finding the best oil to use and everything. So the stuff they use now, it goes on really, really thin when they spray it, which is important because then it gets up into all those little nooks and crannies, and they can really kind of hose it on there. But then once it sits for a little while, it actually gums up and gets thicker, and so that it really clings to everything and lasts a good amount of time. So you can see the end result and kind of the finished product of what it looks like here. It definitely makes the undercarriage look kind of cleaner, and just everything is nice and black again. As I drive it now, the dirt and dust is going to kind of stick to this a little bit, and it kind of turns it into more of like a satin finish. Which, I mean, as detailers, that's kind of the look that most people are going for anyways, as far as dressings and everything go. And if you think about it, a lot of those specific undercarriage dressings from the detailing world are usually oil-based. So this kind of doubles as an undercarriage dressing too. So I guess we can call this episode 1 in this series now, this whole kind of oil spraying and rust prevention type of deal. Next up in the next video, we're going to be doing, like I mentioned, rotating the tires, cleaning some stuff up in there. I think I might recoat the Method wheels and just do a fresh layer of V-Technic C5 on them. I've got a bunch here, so I'll probably just do the faces again. I'm not going to bother doing the inner barrels. And then we're going to tackle the engine bay as well, which I've neglected for probably years now, so that's going to need some attention. So stay tuned for the next video. We're going to be doing wheels off and engine bay stuff. But hopefully this answers any of your questions that you might have about oil spraying or undercoating or rust prevention, all that kind of stuff. That's about all I got for you. I'll catch you on the next one, guys. See ya.